Hello artists! Might remember that last time we made pumpkins in the style of Yayoi Kusama. And her pumpkins had lots of dots all over them. Well, this time we're going to make a background and it's going to look something like this, or maybe really different, because we are going to use printmaking. Printmaking is when we dip an object in paint and then put the object on the paper to make a print. So you're going to get to choose what you want to use and how you want to make your background. But first, let's take a look at what her backgrounds look like so we can get some ideas. So you may remember the pumpkins that we looked at last week, which were the examples from Yayoi Kusama. And these are some samples of hers. You can see that she used the same color on her pumpkin as she did in her background, and that looks really nice. She also did one that looks like this, which we looked at last week, and these contrast a little bit more. And we're going to choose contrasting colors today for our background. You can see that she made some different patterns here. On the bottom, she has dots, and on the top, she has triangles. Whereas if we look back at this one, she's got the same pattern in the background. For simplicity's sake, we're going to probably do ours with the same pattern all the way throughout the background, but you are going to get to choose what you want to use to make that background. So let's get started with our printmaking. Alright, to make the printed background for my pumpkin, I'm going to choose a color that contrasts really nicely with my pumpkin, so my pumpkin really stands out on my background. And I'm also going to choose a paint color that contrasts or shows up really well on my background. Now I have this little piece of wood that I'm going to try doing some printing with, and I'm going to try making some triangle shapes. And then after that, I'm going to show you what it might look like to use a Lego and make some square shapes. So we want to take our time, but we also just want to have fun and not worry too much about if it's perfect, because everyone's is going to look completely different. Alright, you'll notice that I really went right to the edges and even off the paper, because you'll remember that once you put your pumpkin on, your edges are the part you're going to see the most. So that's one option. Here's another type that I did. I used the same little wooden tool to just make X's all over my paper. So you could just make X's, one way, one the other way, and I made them in a row. Now let's try using the Lego. Alright, now I'd like to show you what it looks like if we use the square side of the Lego, and I did add a little bit of yellow into my paint so that it's a light yellow, and that will still contrast really nice with the green. So let's give it a try. Alright, I tried to show you two different methods here. One way is making all the squares just straight across in a line. Another way is doing that but then overlapping. And the third way is turning the Lego and doing it every which way. So you can do any ways of those that you might like. Alright, so the last thing I want to show you is just basically that you can make a print with anything. You can make a print with a yogurt container and you'll get a nice circle at the top. You can make a print with a glue stick container, and you could use either side. You could use this side to get a circle, or you could use this side to get a filled in circle. You could even use something like this. This is a wooden block that I had, and I wrapped a rubber band around it to make lines. So let's see how that turns out. And here's this Lego again. Let's use the other side and see how these circles turn out. So for your Yayoi Kusama pumpkins, you're really going to want to probably choose one consistent background throughout the whole thing, but don't be afraid to experiment a little bit and see which of these backgrounds you might like to use the best. Go ahead and have fun, and when you're finished, when your printmaking paper is all dry, then you're going to go ahead and take it and you are going to glue down your pumpkin in the placement where you would like to see it. And then you are finished.